statistics of Dallas-Fort Worth being number 2 in ransomware and number 3 in identity theft. Are we just stupid people in Dallas? Is that what the deal is? Are we just naive or what? We don't know how to drive. As you can, if you get out on the road with a little bit of rain, right? The only state I think that's worse than Texas about driving in the rain is California, right? Because they never get rain in Southern California, or northern they do. But anyway, so yeah. So today I'm going to talk about, and we're live on Facebook right now. So welcome Facebook Live crowd. We're going to talk about this question: how to know what you want to be when you grow up. But before I do that, I want to ask a question. How many of you know what this is?
That's a $100 bill.
$100 bill. How many would like to have a $100 bill? Yeah. Anybody online? You want a $100 bill?
Absolutely.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Do you really want it?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, I got you. Mark's got some ones. Okay, let me ask you this: if I do this, okay. Anybody else want it?
Yep.
Sure.
Really? Still
Still
want it?
a $100 bill.
What if I do this? You want it?
Yep.
Depends on what was on your street before.
Yeah.
Oh, I stepped on some dog poop. You still want it? Yeah. But look at it.
Take it to the bank.
Look at it.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at it. It was nice and crisp and new when I started, and now it's wrinkled, dirty,
But it hasn't lost its value.
worn. You still want it?
Yep.
Why?
That's still
$100.
Why? Because it's a $100 bill, right?
Right.
It has value. The interesting thing when I talk about this, and we'll talk about this, what do you want to be when you grow up? Anybody still struggle with that? Be honest.
Every day.
Be honest. We all do, right? We all struggle with, what do I want to be when I grow up? The question I would ask you really is, and this is the reason why I use this illustration is because I saw this done in a speech one time or in a talk. And we tend to say, okay, we go through stuff in our lives, right? We get laid off, maybe have some financial challenges, maybe have some health problems. Maybe somebody says, you can't do that, whatever, right? You're worthless. We take that and we say, okay, somehow my value, that dream that I had, that vision that I had when I was a kid to be a fireman or whatever I wanted to be, that we take what we get and we take the circumstances and what happens to us, and even though it would be stupid to say, I don't want this $100 bill, right? When we look at our own selves, we say somehow that dream that I had made sense when I was in college or made sense when I was a kid, but somehow doesn't make sense right now. Because why? We're worn. We've had experiences. We've had things that have impacted us. So all I ask is as we look at this, this is kind of a scary picture. Confront yourself. I'm going to give you six things to think about in terms of how do you find what you want to be when you grow up. And this is 6 things that you need to do on an ongoing basis. As we're doing the Vision Challenge, you'll recognize a few pieces here of things, but we're going to drill down a little bit on 6 specific things that you need to do if you really want to answer that question. If anything were possible, what kind of future could I imagine? What I find is, and what I have found in talking to people is they said, we went through that part really quick. I still struggle with that. I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. But I can answer a lot of other questions. Well, the key is, until you can really understand what it is you want to accomplish, that's why we do it up front, is you're going to have trouble continuing on a path. Most of us can't answer that question of what I want to be able to grow up for. Why? Because we have tended to follow our nose. We basically had opportunities presented to us. We've gone and followed that opportunity. It's allowed us to pay the bills, whether it's a job or a particular thing, but we've followed that opportunity along, and all of a sudden, we get to a point we say, okay, I'm grown up, or I'm growing up, but I still don't know what I want to be. But do you think about it? I mean, whose vision? Confront yourself. You see that this is a demonic hand and dollars and somebody shaking it. The really thing you have to understand is which devil did you do a deal with to be where you are right now? Was it the promotion that you got that puts you on the road, like in my case, for 4 to 5 days a week, and I put 4 million miles on American Airlines, or 3 million miles on American Airlines and 4 million miles on various airlines, and I had a lot of stuff, a lot of money, a lot of things, you know. So what deal did I do? Did you trade that vision of what you wanted to be when you grew up? Are you working on that? So you need to kind of confront yourself. You need to stop. The first thing you need to do is say, okay, I'm trapped in my license to operate. I'm doing the day-to-day thing, but somebody else has really defined what I'm going to be when I grow up. If you're working with a company as an employee, or you're working with a company as an independent business owner, if you're working with parameters that you didn't define clearly, they aren't yours, you didn't own them, then you're probably working on, okay, wait for it, you're working on somebody else's dream vision, or you're working on somebody else's vision for your life. Okay? And it doesn't have to be just being an employee. A lot of times people jump in, okay, well, I don't work for anybody else. I'm an independent business owner. A lot of you guys have your own business, or maybe you have your own practice within a business, and so you are working for yourself. But guess what? Many, many times we have done a deal with a devil, and that devil can be a lot of different things. That can be your first grade teacher who told you would never amount to anything, and you accepted that vision or dream for your life as what you were going to be. Nothing. Okay? Unfortunately, we can do that. I'm working in an educational setting right now, and I hang around with 300 or 400 kids off and on every day for the next few months. And I will tell you that it's very critical. But guess what? It's not just kids. When you are working with somebody and you say, if anything were possible, I'd like to have these things and do these things. And we get into the vision challenge. Well, I'm not going to break it down into all the pieces. There's a lot of components to really having a good, clear picture of anything where possible. That clarity. But I'm not talking just about the clarity right now. I'm just talking about doing what you need to do to be ready to embrace your dream or what you want to be when you grow up. Okay? You got to confront yourself. And when I say confronting yourself, you got to get beyond the superficial. You got to get beyond, you got to get below the surface and really understand that somebody else has set a picture in your mind. It might be something nobody's actually said. You can't find the person, but somehow you've defined what you're going to be when you grow up. And some of us have been around for a while. I'm retired. But you know what? I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. Or I'm still revisiting that question on a regular basis. So the first thing you've got to do is really accept the fact that there are things that are working in your life. They may be things that you've done a deal and said, okay, there's no way I'm ever going to get there because I need this job or I need to do these things on a day-to-day basis that don't allow me. We're all busy, right? And generally speaking, we're here, so we probably have enough money to live, okay? Or at least we've got something that's helping us get there. But the point is, we've done a deal with the devil. And again, and literally, that's the thing. Our comfort, you've heard me say this before, what's the opposite of success? What's the opposite of achieving the dream? What is it that keeps you from doing that more than anything else? It's comfort. It's not failure. Failure is actually the tool that allows you to realize that you're pushing your limits and you're moving towards something and you're growing. You can't grow if you're not willing to fail. So comfort and just the fact that we've got something coming in that's allowing us to get from one day to the next. We're servicing our license to operate. We're not necessarily moving towards that dream. You're climbing a ladder, but maybe it's leaning against the wrong building. Okay, that's kind of what we find. So the first thing is first step is confront yourself. And you say, well, that's easy to say. And I'll talk a little bit about some other steps that really allow you to do that, because it's hard. It's hard for you to look in the mirror. You're looking at that man in the mirror. I was going to read a poem called The Man in the Mirror. It's one of those things where it's you. It's really you, but there's all kinds of voices in your head. There's all kinds of visions, devils, if you will, that you've done deals with that have limited what I really want to be when I grow up. And you've settled for something. And I've settled for something. I'm not just saying you. So, the next thing you need to do is learn what you love. Okay? We've got to explore that. And when I talk about eliciting, clarifying, and accelerating the achievement of a dream vision with an aspiring leader, that's what I do. I'm looking for those raw materials. And one of the questions as you explore is, what do you love? If you look at somebody and say, man, I wish I was doing that. Boy, if I could do that, that would be perfect for me. That must be the life. You ever say that? Wow, he must be, he's got a tough life. Or, have you ever looked at that? Why? What is it about that? What is it about? Explore and drill down and elicit out of yourself, or get somebody to help you, but elicit out of yourself, what is it that excites you about that? Why do you think that's good? Because chances are, if you're looking outside yourself and what you're doing on a day-to-day basis and looking at somebody else and saying, wow, I wish that were me, or I wish I had do that. There's something, not maybe you don't really want to be that person, but there's something about what you saw and you're acknowledging that you wish was part of your dream vision or part of your what I want to be when I grow up. So this is a process of discovery. This isn't like, wave your wand and it's not the same for every person. So these are not, I can't give you the answer. I can't give you the cheat sheet that says things, but I can tell you that, like, basically Steve Jobs said the only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it, keep looking, don't settle. I mean, by all measures, I wish I had the impact that Steve Jobs has had in his life and subsequent to that. But the point is that there are things that we can do today to say, okay, am I doing really what I love? Is it really something that energizes me? Because you know what? If you're doing what you love, you'd never work a day in your life. I'm retired. You say, why are you doing all these things? Because I love people. I love making a difference. I love having an opportunity to talk to somebody and change the world a dream at a time. That's what I want to do. So I love that, and I get to do that. And I don't look at somebody else. Sometimes I do. I say, well, maybe that would be, I do need to do more of that. I get excited. But the thing is, it's not about me. Anybody else have that challenge? You find yourself not doing necessarily what you love on a day-to-day basis? Or are you doing what you love? Mark, I know you stepped out of the corporate world, right?
Yep.
And you said, I love doing this part. I don't like working for the man. I don't like doing it on somebody else's terms. I do a lot of things I did in the corporate world, but I don't have to get on a plane and fly and be away from my family all the time to do it. Yeah, go ahead.
I've actually worked something like that into working with middle school age kids
Sure.
in Sunday school. I say, figure out what you're passionate about. Don't look at the money portion. Look at what you're passionate about and do something you love, because if you do something you don't love, they can't pay you enough money and you'll be miserable. And I don't want to hear you gripe. So, figure out what you like to do, what you're passionate about, and pursue it.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, that's a great point, and it's a really good point in the education system. And as we minister or work with kids all the time, the Sir Kenneth Robinson, one of my favorite of all time TED Talks, is the first one done, and he's done a couple since, by Sir Kenneth Robinson on the deficiencies and the lack of creativity in our education system. And he talks specifically about the fact that when you combine, he wrote a book called The Element, which is a great book, by the way. I also have that. And it's when you take their inherent skills and abilities and gifting that somebody has and marry that to their passion, is the element. That's when you can pull everything through that. In the education, he specifically talks about the educational experience, but it's really even about our lives. We have to find what we love so that all the stuff that we do has meaning, has things that will energize us, keeps us going. Because guess what? Nothing hits you as hard as life. You're going to have problems. You're going to have people tell you no. You're going to have people tell you that you don't have what it takes. You're going to have people, you're going to run into brick walls of nobody's doing. And you're going to have the energy and the courage and the commitment to say, yes, but that what I want to do when I grow up is still $100. It's not something that has now been devalued just because it got wadded up or kicked around, or I got wadded up or kicked around. It's still, the value is still there. Or at least you need to revisit. Is it there? Do I need to tweak it a little bit? The third thing is, this is a big one, ignore your relations. This is a picture of, anybody watch Modern Family? Love Modern Family. It's actually, first I kind of resisted it just because of some of the things, but then I loved some of the writers there are really good. You really deal with life and everything. And as a parent, you say, why would you ignore people that you know and love and care about? Why would I tell you to ignore relations? Anybody got a guess? I'm just asking. I mean, I'm going to give you an answer. So this isn't a test, but there's not an answer. There's multiple answers.
But they're more than often not supportive of what you're doing as opposed to supportive.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Right. And why do you think that is? You know, we do that to our own kids, right? Have you ever done that to your kids? I have. I've got 5 kids. Not intentionally. Not intentionally. That's good for you, but when you get in the real world, that won't work.
Or we're afraid.
You ever tell your kids that? Or we're afraid. Yeah, we want to protect them. We don't want them to experience the consequences of failure. We don't want your friend to be disappointed. We don't want your friend. So we look at it through our prism, through our vision of our past and our present, and then say, you can't have that future. And that is wrong. That will kill you. That will have you redefine and settle for something less than the dream or the vision that you have for your life. Yeah, Mark?
Well, and I see a lot of this today. We're afraid to let our kids or students fail.
Right.
And failure is one of the best teachers.
It's the best teacher.
It's the best teacher.
I mean, I'd rather learn from your failure than mine. But yeah, it's a failure.
You have to learn to,
absolutely.
hit that obstacle. What do I do next time?
Absolutely. Don't tell yourself it's not worth $100 because something went wrong. It's still worth $100. How do I make sure that doesn't happen again? How do I learn from that? How do I refine and improve and make sure that I still keep moving forward to what I want to be when I grow up, to my dream vision, to the things that I'm trying to do? So again, if you're struggling with this, the third thing is don't go to the people who love you and want to make you feel good in your failure, or want to make you feel like, or protect you from pursuing. Guess what? In a book, Peter Thiel wrote a book, 0 to 1, which is how do you get started? How did Facebook, how did PayPal, how did all these guys? Do you think anybody in their family or close in, or even Bill Gates or Steve Jobs or any of these guys, you think the people that were there when these things were starting that nobody even had seen before, do you think they were there saying, oh yeah, that makes total sense. I've seen that done 3 or 4 times, right? No, it was new. Maybe your dream, maybe what do you want to do when you grow up, it hasn't even been defined yet. Okay? Maybe you can't look around and find somebody else do it and say, I want to be like him. Maybe you've been given a vision or a dream to do something that nobody else has done. Like Mark Zuckerberg with Facebook. I mean, yeah, MySpace came before, but he came up with some things and had a vision that was different. Right? So it's easy to say that's been done. So there's a lot of people out there who love you very much, love me very much, that will be happy to tell you why that won't work. And it's not malicious. They're actually doing to protect you. So the third, you just avoid those things. Don't go. If you've got somebody today that's advising you or coaching you in your career or in your business, and they know and love you and you're comfortable with what they're telling you, you got the wrong person, guy. I'm just telling, or lady. I'm just telling you. Because, yes, the next thing is get a guide. How important is what you want to do when you grow up to you? Is it as important as if you were going to climb Mount Everest, making sure you got to the top and didn't die on the way? So people who need a guide, who recognize, and that would be insane, although there are a lot of people who have died not having a guide, is this is actually a picture of people using a Sherpa to get to the top. Joanne Marceau talked to us. She talked about climbing a mountain and doing something she hadn't done before. And guess what? What did she have? A guide. What do you need? You need a guide. You need somebody that's been there. And it doesn't, even if they haven't been there, but is willing to support you and to push you into an area that maybe you're going to get hurt. I mean, guiding you up Mount Everest, there's still a percentage you're going to die, right? But if you really want to get there, I can help you get there. You with me? So if I'm working with something, it's easier for me. It's funny, my wife, and I won't pick on her too much, but she said, I want to know what I want to be when I grow up. Just recently. This is part of the inspiration for me doing this. As we're talking about the Vision Challenge and moving forward and where do we go next, and we're doing this kind of family planning and whatever. And she said, and I'm thinking, okay, where have I failed? Well, the reality of it is maybe she does need to talk to somebody else. Maybe she needs to talk to a guy that isn't me, because maybe I don't want to see her be hurt, and maybe I'll protect her. John?
In Legal Shield and other direct sales companies, the emphasis is always on getting into following the system, staying with the system, because that's defined as the people that have done what you want to do,
Right.
been successful, making money, and I think that's one of the things as entrepreneurs we resist is we want to invent it all over again.
Yeah, I would say I will give you two thoughts on that, and then we'll move on. But when it comes to when you're an entrepreneur, John's what I would call an entrepreneur. He's working with a company who already has a system guideline. Well, or if you have a franchise, New York, whatever, you're doing things, or you're a franchise, you have systems and guidelines, guardrails. Call them bumpers when you're bowling. Keep you from doing bumper bowling instead of so you won't go in the gutter. It's smart as you're getting started to follow the lead, but guess what? It's just a means, whether it's Legal Shield or whether it's any other tool, any other system. And I'm not saying that it's good. It's good to get started. A lot of us are employees. We're used to being told what to do, and we don't know what to do. So listening to somebody else tell you how to be your own boss or how to run your own business is a good thing. So getting that guidance, getting that leadership, getting somebody who's further down the path is a really good thing. But what if what you want doesn't fit into any of those predetermined things? What if you want to start? Businesses fail. I talked to you a while ago about businesses fail. Part of why we created the Business Growth Network was to create a community to support people who really want to who have a dream vision that is not fulfilled and they want to do something bigger. It's just a nonprofit passion vision that we have to kind of give those tools available. So yes, and in those systems they do that. So get a guide. Somebody that's been there, somebody that can help you. They will support you, but they won't protect you to the point that you'll never get to the top of Mount Everest. You with me? Okay. Find your superpowers. Day 7 of the Vision Challenge, we do talk about finding your superpowers. It's basically understanding that thing. When I talked about Sir Kenneth Robinson and the element and knowing your skills, everybody here has superpowers. If you're in a business today, chances are, and you're successful to any measure, you're probably leveraging a part of that superpower. My superpower, if you will, one of my ones is I can connect dots that other people don't see. I can hear what you have to say. I can look at your idea. I can look at other people's thing and say, hey, if you put 1 plus 1, it's 11. It's not 2. There's more to it. There's synergy. There's things. And that's just me. That's not everybody. That's what I monetize, and that's what I do. Mark has the ability to deal with technology and work, and Randy has business planning and helping people figure out how to grow their business. And Jenna has market. I mean, everybody has some superpowers and things that they're bringing to the table. But are there others? We have multiple superpowers. Are there things? Are you monetizing? Just because you're not monetizing doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Just because somebody's not paying you to do it. If they are, great. If they're not, then you need to figure out, because that superpower combined with your passion, your embracing your dream vision, where you want to go, can take you beyond anything you could imagine and anything anybody else could tell you you could achieve if you capitalize it. Okay? Does that make sense? So find your superpowers. Think about it. Now focus on the things you don't do well. One of the things that small business owners, the biggest problem we have, and I see, is when you're in the corporate world. Randy, you can answer this question, and Mark, you've been in the corporate world with IBM, and so you know that if you can't do something, there's somebody in the company that can. You can pick up the phone, call somebody, what? So you don't let that hold you back, at least in doing your job. Right. You're still working on somebody else's dream, but you're studying to keep you, because but as a small business owner, you say, well, I don't know how to do accounting, so I can't move forward. I don't know how to manage technology. I don't know how to do social media. I don't know how that technology works, so I can't move forward. I got to figure that out. I got to spend all my time working in my business to figure out things that that aren't my superpower, right? So that I can then move forward with what really I want to do. No. The way you're going to be successful is to find a way. Jenna does an excellent job of this. She contracts out a lot of her stuff to things, because she knows that that's not the best use of my time. I need to invest in getting people to do things that I can't do. I can't do what she does. We're partnering because we do different things. Not because we're the same. We're way different. I mean, just look at it on camera. We're way different. Okay? So the point is, there's a lot of things we do. So find your superpower. Don't focus on the things that you're not good at. Find somebody to do that for you that loves, and that's their superpower.
But know what you're not.
But know what you're not good
Know
at.
your limitations.
Right. Know your limitations. But that's the thing. Whether it's an entrepreneur, people living your daily life, we tend to focus on the things we don't understand well. And we allow those to be the reason why we've settled for something less than what we really wanted to be when we grew up. Right? The last one is, here's Johnny. One of my favorite movies, The Shining, if you haven't seen that. But scare yourself. The biggest obstacle to moving forward and really even acknowledging. This is the thing that's really funny about our limbic brain, the brain that keeps us out of trouble, right? The fight or flight, the reptilian brain, if you will, is that we protect ourselves even when it's not good for us, because we don't want to have to deal with failure. We don't want to have to deal with, well, what if? Anybody ever do that? Well, if I put it out there that I want to be standing in one of my dreams is to be able to have such a large audience that millions of people want to hear what I have to say, and I can impact millions of people's lives in a very short period of time, because I don't want to spend all my time just, in other words, time to me is my most valuable resource. But my brain says, but what if you say that's what you want to do? Now it's on Facebook Live. Now you guys have all heard it. What if I don't do it? Then I'm going to fail, and I'm going to fail in public. I'm putting it out there. But guess what? If you aren't willing to speak it and put it out there, do you think you'll ever have it? No. I won't have it. You won't have it. It's nothing unique. If we're not willing to embrace it, I don't care if it's to be the number one, legal shield consultant on the planet. If that's really your dream, if that's really what you want to do, then awesome. Say that. Do it. Go for it. So again, scare yourself. Do something beyond what you're comfortable with. And backing through what I've already said, the other 5 steps is, find somebody that will push you to scare yourself. Find somebody that is not afraid to let you fail. Don't talk to the people that, necessarily, because chances are, guess what? Like my wife, like my family, anybody's family. I mean, I'm not picking on anybody. They probably don't know what they want to be when they grow up either. So you're asking somebody who doesn't know or hasn't gotten there to buy in or to support or to encourage you to do something they've never done or never even embraced themselves. So that's part of the reason why you have that. How are we doing on time?
We don't do that we end up regretting more than the stuff we do.
I
I agree.
And the theme for this was momentum, was for this particular TED deal was momentum. And I said, really, I think success in life is about taking the hesitation out of the moments